back to the After Hours cast. I'm your host, Francisco. With me as a co-host, I have Daniel. And today we are at the Suburban Bottle in Perrysburg, Ohio. Joined with us today is Kelli.
Hi. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks for having us, for sure. How you doing?
It's Friday, so I'm doing okay. Made it through another week.
Yeah, for sure. So we're talking a little bit just, like off air, and we were just talking about how, how you got to this place, and you said you had a background in healthcare.
Yes.
So you want to run us through that? How did you get here?
Oh, wow. How did I get here?
Yeah.
Okay. I have spent the past 25 years in corporate life with a variety of jobs. In the financial industry, so banking, spent a little bit of time in advertising and marketing, and then took a break, went part-time when I had children, and worked for Perrysburg schools for a while as a paraprofessional. So I worked with kids with disabilities, and then went back into the workforce when they got a little bit older and joined the healthcare industry. So I was with a broker for corporate healthcare. We would partner corporations with healthcare plans and find the best rates and plans for their employees. And worked my way up. I was a part-time employee doing reporting. And when I left, I was vice president of operations. So 11 years took me from part-time gig to VP.
Wow.
And it was pretty amazing. I learned a lot. And while I learned that corporate life was really not in my DNA, there's no way I could have made this jump without having that experience.
Gotcha.
So while it's, it just didn't suit me. After a while, it was grinding me down. I say it was killing my soul. The company was great. Employees were great. But I just felt this urge for a long time. And actually it started when I met my now husband, who's an entrepreneur, that I really felt the desire to do something of my own and be my own boss. Mm-hmm. So even though I was a VP, to make any decisions had required a committee and 6 months of project planning. Where now, as a business owner, I can make a decision and implement it today, and if it fails, change it tomorrow. Yep. So I guess that's my background. I've been looking to find a change in my career. Did not know entrepreneurship would be the thing, but when I learned that this business was for sale, did a lot of soul searching and talking and decided to make the leap.
Cool. So I was just going to follow up with that. So you took a hiatus from banking, and then you had your family. And
right.
Stuff like that.
I didn't really plan a career. So I was. Yeah. And this is kind of interesting, I guess, but I was one of those women who was happy being a mom and wife and did not, I went to college, but never really planned a career for myself and thought that I would just be, Allie and Logan's mom and work on the side, work part-time. And years go by and I get divorced and realize, okay, I'm 41 and I don't have a career and I've got to figure out who I am and what I'm going to do. So I got the job full time it was becoming Huntington. So it was Skybank, and they've been purchased by Huntington, which is headquartered in Columbus. And that's when I was part time there. So left the schools because that was basically a volunteer position, and just started to find my way at 41 years old, trying to start over and decide what I had a business degree. Yeah. Which means you can do anything. Right. So that's what I did. So I had to work. I had to provide for my kids. I had to provide for myself, and just got promoted and worked hard, worked my ass off, and And so then I'm in my late 40s and realizing, okay, this really isn't what sitting at a desk on conference calls for 7 hours a day or sitting in meetings or traveling all over the state of Ohio was just grinding me down. I wanted more.
Right.
So kind of late in life to get started, but
Never too late.
No, it's exactly right. I'm on 3.0, I guess, for my life.
Yeah.
So how is the transition going from working for someone to being your own boss?
Oh, yeah. So it's pros and cons. Well, some would think you have your own schedule. I hear that a lot. Well, you're an entrepreneur, you're in your own business, you have a flexible schedule. Well, not really, because I'm everything here. So I'm the custodian. When the place needs cleaned, I've got to clean it. I do have someone that helps with that, but when the dishwasher breaks, I've got to figure that out. I don't have an IT department anymore, so I have no one to call other than my husband and my son when the router goes down or there's problems with my POS system. But it's been really challenging for me to figure out kind of day-to-day operationally, what am I going to do? I don't have this team anymore. I have 5 really wonderful employees who they come in on nights and weekends to work. They all have day jobs. They call this their fun job. They like to come here, meet customers, get to know more about wine. But for the daytime, it's me. And so it's been a real change going from a 50-person department to 1 for the majority of the day. Yeah, but I don't have to ask permission anymore. So that's the best thing about it.
Can you describe what is Suburban Bottle, in kind of a description?
I was just asked this yesterday. So I've got a vendor coming in next week, and she said, I want to promote women-owned businesses, and so give me 2 words that your business is. And the first word that came to mind is experience. So when I thought about this business, when I took it over, it was primarily a retail shop. They sold a lot of wine bottles, but they also did pours. So they did wine tastings, glasses of wine. You could come here and do that, but the business was more on the retail side. And when we travel, when I go anywhere, whether it's in Toledo or anywhere around the country or the world for that matter, I want to have an experience when I go to a place. And so I want this Suburban Bottle to be somewhere that I would go to and hang out and enjoy. And that's what I find the customers want. And they've been wanting that here. They don't want to some want to come and just buy a bottle of wine. But most of the time they're coming in either by themselves to have a glass of wine to wind down their day, or they want an experience with friends or first dates, or some are having an argument. I've seen everything. Birthday parties. So it's a wine experience, but we also have other things. We have a little bit of food, we have some beers, we have whiskeys, but you come here and kind of make the experience you need for what you.
I was just going to follow that up, and it's been shown in studies like millennials versus older generation that millennials specifically would they enjoy spending their money on experiences rather than physical goods. And I think we're seeing that shift throughout the 21st century, especially.
Absolutely. I am seeing a lot younger crowd coming in.
I
didn't see that at first, but now that word's getting out and they're bringing their friends, I heard about, my friends told me about this, I had to come in. Or, a returning customer and they brought their friends in. And some are asking, can we have study groups here? There was a group of med students in one night, and then they brought the rest of their friends in for a study session with wine. So yeah, they definitely want to have that experience together. And what's cool is they come in here and I don't see people on their phones a lot. I mean, occasionally if they want to post something, but they're talking. And we had a winemaker in here one night, and he's from Argentina, and he said, and he's in his late 70s, he's ready to pass the torch to his son. And he said, you open a bottle of wine, you put it on a table, and you put people around that table, and you'll have an experience every time, which is exactly how I feel about wine, which is why this is wine focused for me, even though we have a lot of other things. But there's just something about a bottle of wine, and you pour it in a glass that just people loosen up and they sit and they relax. And so it's a cool vibe, and they really enjoy themselves. So they leave happy.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of something we touched up on our last podcast episode, that one of the things that we think is going to start trending is, so you've had like social media and all that, and that's been like the big trend of the early 2000s, and we think that's getting to the point where that's kind of in overkill mode, where it's too much social media, no one's getting out as much, and it's going to make a complete flip where people are going to start becoming social again. Like, you know, they're in it for the experience more because they're getting sick and tired of just being on social media. They want to get out more and do more.
And talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in person.
Yeah. And so when I first took this over, I wanted to change kind of the interior to make it that social feel, so that people talk to other people. So not just the group you're with, but so you meet other people, because the world's a small place and you're bound to find somebody you know or you're connected to them. And so that has happened here, and they kind of wander around. So we've got these little areas that you can go to depending on the feel you want. So this room is more intimate. So if people want to have a more private conversation, they can come in here. But the bigger areas are more for people to talk to each other. And that's what I like. Yeah, the social media I think is great to get the word out of what's going on. And that's what I appreciate as a business owner. But other than that, put your phone down. Just look at somebody and talk to them.
Yeah. This is kind of like a random question, but so we met at the AF meeting, and one of the things that you had to show off was there's like this gadget you had for wine that I thought was really cool. I would really appreciate if you would elaborate for that, because I thought it was really cool.
Was it? I'm trying to remember which one. I mean, I had a few things there. So one was it's called a wineskin. I don't know if that's what the one was. I had a wineskin. So on a recent trip to Napa Valley, we bought some bottles of wine and we wanted to bring them home in our suitcase. And before we went there, I had wanted to find something to bring into the store, because I do get customers that come in who are flying somewhere and they're taking a bottle back with them. And we were in Napa and I saw these wineskins. I'm like, that's exactly it. It's like bubble wrapped and it's secured. So you put your bottle in it and you seal it and you can put it in your checked bag. And it's supposed to protect it. And if it does happen to crack or break, it would keep the wine contained so you don't ruin your clothes. Yeah. And so we tested it, bought a couple bottles, and it worked beautifully. And so I was able to connect with a wholesaler and brought some in. And at that day, somebody bought one because she had a bottle of wine. She was going on a plane and wanted to take it with her. So it was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, I don't know, that's crazy. That's like like a koozie for wine, right?
Right,
Like,
yeah. I thought I'm gonna develop my own if I can't find it, because I've had so many people come in and they buy a decent bottle of wine and they don't want to break it, you know, and they want to be able to check their bag and take it with them.
So is it like form fitted for wine bottles specifically, or could you use it for like a vodka or, you know?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could. You could probably fit a fifth in there, or not a fifth, but a regular 750 bottle in there. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
And you had touched on that. You have people coming in here from Argentina, like internationally. They're selling you wines as well, and and you're distributing to people that are going like on, you know, going away back home, or whatever. Yeah. So if you'd like to touch on just, you know, international markets or people coming in and out. Or...
Yeah, that's been really interesting. So I have about 16 wine distributors that I work with, and they're all connected. So they each have their own portfolio of wines. And so one wine cannot be sold by two different distributors. The winemakers or the wineries decide who they're going to work with. And it's, from what I understand, it's like an act of God to change that. Unless the distributor goes out of business, they usually stay with them forever. So they, of course, want to market their wines. And to get back to the experience, they bring in winemakers from all over the world. I've met some from Italy, from France, Argentina, Chile. They come in, sometimes it's the actual winemaker, sometimes it's a national brand manager, and they just come in, they pour the wines, they tell me their experiences so that I can share that with my customers who are looking at that bottle of wine on the shelf. Like, why is this wine so special? Well, let me tell you what goes into that. And that helps me market their product. So
I'll be dead honest, I don't know a lot about wine. So for someone who does know a lot about wine, could you give like, I don't know about that.
There's like years that, you know, you can never know everything.
That last sentence you just said, I've learned more about wine than the 4 years I've been in college.
Just start drinking it.
I have very little knowledge in the wine industry, so It's very educational.
Is there like wine conferences?
Oh yeah, I'm Napa Valley. They have a like a school that you can attend. I mean, sommeliers. Obviously, there's certifications you can go through, which is incredible. And I have a lot of regard and respect for people that go through that. And there's different levels of that even. So you can be a sommelier, and there's a master sommelier, and there's like only 30 master sommeliers in the world. So it's really, really tough. If you ever want to read about how to become a sommelier, read Cork Dork. This journalist wanted to write about the process and ended up going through the process herself. There are online courses you can take. Lord's College, a local college, they feature a wine, I believe it's a degree, if not a certification. So yeah, for me, because I have a terrible memory, talking to someone and drinking it while we're talking about the wine is the best for me, educational experience that I have. And then I can turn around and tell that to my customers. So yeah, you just have to start drinking wine.
Well, speaking of which, what are you drinking today?
I have a 2016 the Chateauneuf du Pape. I haven't really sipped this yet. It's a really fantastic wine from France. It's usually very pricey wine because to have that distinguished to be considered from Chateauneuf, they go through quite an ordeal to get the labeling and the naming and the certifications for their particular wines. The French are very particular about their wines and the designations that they give them.
Okay, so can you tell if like one wine is from like Europe or if it's like from South America? Do they have like different tastes or?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Because the grapes, so there are 5,000 grapes that are used in the winemaking process.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, and I've maybe had 200. I don't know, maybe not even that many. I mean, the Cabernet Sauvignon grape, for example, you can tell sometimes if you've had a lot of it, if it's a Napa Valley cab or if it's a cab in Chile or France. There's definite styles that are used in the winemaking process, but the terroir, that's a term that's used a lot in the wine industry. That's encompasses the weather, the soil, the winemaking process. There are, what's fascinating, I could go on. What's fascinating about wine to me is it's an industry that's existed for thousands of years. And some practice the same way they did 1,000 years ago. They will pick grapes by hand. And I just learned by the sales manager that was in the other day, there's a winery that still crushes grapes with their feet.
I was just going to ask you
about
that.
Now that's not used a lot, but there are some that still, they create an experience. So they let people come in and do that. They said the interns, they throw them in. So the interns that go work for the winery, they crush grapes with their feet.
Smashing.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Right.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that's and now, of course, in today's world, there are a lot of things that are used. When we were in France, we learned this Bordeaux winery. They created this music. They brought in a mathematician, a scientist, and a musician, and they created a kind of a musical tone. And they drive a truck through the winery twice a day. And what that does is they play this tone, and it vibrates the grapes enough to keep the water off the grapes so bacteria doesn't grow. Huh. So it's that organic method. Which is so huge, especially with the younger population. They want to know what's an organic wine, what's a natural wine. They don't want all the additives. And the Europeans I always steer them to the European wines. But yeah, that was kind of fascinating to me. So, while some still crush grapes with their feet, there are some using methods like that it keeps the grapes from being ruined.
So one thing I have heard about wine is that just kind of how maybe more expensive wine might taste better or maybe not as good as other wines. So like one thing I've heard is that like once you get to a certain price, like about $15, that you're going to get to a certain like quality where it's all very subjective. What's your thought on that?
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I have some fantastic bottles of wine that are $12.
Okay.
Now, I was also drinking a $50 Shots Enough to Pup. I mean, that's a whole nother level.
Okay.
So while a lot of times, with wine, you do get what you pay for, there are delicious wines that you can open up. I call them a patio pounder. You open it up, you sit on your patio, and you go through a bottle in, a half hour, depending on the day you've had or how many people you're enjoying it with. But you can have fantastic wines. And I would say the sweet spot for my customers are between $12 and $25 for bottles of wine. That's probably what I sell the most of. And there's great wines.
Yeah, so as you know, me and Daniel really don't have much experience in the wine tasting business right now. What would you recommend for someone trying to, add to their flavor palette here?
Well, I would talk to you kind of what you like to eat, what you're eating, and who you're with. Have a lot to do with how you like a wine. So a wine that we drink here, if you go to the winery, it may taste even better to you just because of the experience you're having. Okay. But I would start you out on something that's maybe not so tannic. So an easy drinking wine. A lot of people, I started, in my 20s, I started with white wines, really cheap, great wines of what I thought. They were like $7 a bottle. And then I started drinking a little bit more expensive wines and got a taste for some really great wines. Most people start with the sweeter wines and then they graduate into a drier wine. But it really depends on your palate. Everybody's different. And that's like, to me, there are no rules with wine. Like you think, a lot of people think, well, I can only drink red wines with red meat and white wines with, no, you drink what you like. Yeah. Now, there are some foods that make wines taste even better or very different. So I like playing around with foods and wines and seeing how they influence each other, but everybody's palate's different. It's like fingerprints, because I could bring a bottle in and you might like it and you might hate it. Even though we're drinking and eating the same things. Mm-hmm. So it really you drink what you like.
Is there any like bizarre foods like you wouldn't have expected to go really well for wine, like Oreos or something?
French fries and champagne.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like National Champagne Day. And I didn't even know this. So I was doing some research. I wanted to do some fun little thing in the store. And the fattiness of the French fries is cut by the dryness and the bubbles in the champagne, which made so much sense. After I'm like, well, yeah, that would make sense. So I tried it, and it was great because I love French fries and I love champagne. So yeah, that's an unusual pairing. Some would pair like buttered popcorn and Chardonnay. Potato chips and sparkling wine is another good one.
I feel like popcorn and anything for me would be good because I love popcorn.
Yeah.
So.
Try it with Chardonnay then.
I'll try that out.
Yeah, I mean, being a broke college student, usually ramen and like Franzia box wine. That's my go-to.
There you go. So. Okay. There's nothing wrong with box wines.
So what's been your your favorite experience so far with just how everything's been going with Suburban Bottle?
Oh gosh, it's got to be customer related. So to jump back to my previous position, I worked with my employees, my team, and I did not really work with customers. I was very internal, and I missed that because I'd had some positions before where I worked with customers. So coming here, the most fun and rewarding thing I have is finding the wine that a customer is looking for, or introducing them to something they never would have had they not come in here. That's been fun. And telling them about wines that they didn't like. I have a Counois on the lineup tonight. Nobody knows what a Counois grape is. We had it. We were in Napa Valley. I wanted to introduce it to my customers, and they loved it yesterday. That's exciting to me. I was able to educate them a little bit on this new grape that they had never had before. But my favorite experience probably is with Jack, who's probably sitting out there tonight. He's a Friday night regular. He's 92 years old. Loves wine and hosts his own wine dinners, and he invites his friends and family over, and he will open up sometimes 8 or 10 bottles of wine and gets food, and he always wants to educate them. So he will give me homework, and do some research to find him some unusual wines. And we plan it together and we talk about it. And then he goes and he has his dinner. The last one he had, he came in and he said, I have to tell you, I've had so many people tell me it was the best one ever. Thank you so much for your help. And it just made him so happy to make his guests happy, which made me happy. So
that's awesome.
That's my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely the upsides of owning your place and being a clientele and, teaching others pretty much.
Yeah.
But are there any downsides or anything like that,
Yes. When your dishwasher breaks and you've got a building full of customers.
Oh no.
That happened one night and we were hand washing everything. I have the most amazing, hardworking team here. And there were 3 of us in the kitchen just working our butts to get everything clean because the dishwasher went on the fritz. So that was, awful. Not having a regular paycheck is incredibly hard. So when you've worked your 25 years and you got a paycheck every Friday or every other Friday and you have benefits and then that all goes away, that's been really hard to figure out how you make that work. Just learning the industry and making it my own. So while I took over an existing business, so there were a lot of things already set here. I had to put my own touch on it. But for me, I have to dive in and figure it out myself. I'm not one to ask for help and I don't like help. And that's a weakness of mine. But you have to learn when to ask for help when you're running your own business because you can't do it all by yourself. Mm-hmm. So
that's something we had previously touched on too, is like you don't really know what you're getting yourself into until you're in there in the environment.
Exactly. Right? You have to get into it. Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings is like, you know what you know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And then there's the unknown, which is you just don't know what you don't know, right?
And that's every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're learning that too, like upon our entrepreneurial, journey here. There's things every day that I've never even thought of, and then just sparks ideas in my head, just how can we overcome this, or how can we use this to our advantage, adapt, stuff like that.
It's one of the things I love about entrepreneurship is that a lot of what you do is it's kind of like self-disciplinary. Like you have to go out and do it and figure it out on your own. And that's how I learn the best, is like when I actually go out and do it, because I'm just kind of how I work, is when you're actually out there getting the experience and doing it and learning from your mistakes. That's when you kind of recognize like, okay, I shouldn't do that. And I probably should do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm a big one. So I did this in the corporate world too, but I always talk through things. And so when I'm here by myself, I have no one to talk through. But you want to surround yourself with smart people. So my distributors know more than I do. I've consulted with people in different leadership roles and consultants, but talking with people in the industry is extremely helpful. Mm-hmm. I've got some really great reps who've been in the industry for 20, 25 years. And so I just kind of I take in what they tell me and then I figure out, okay, how do I apply that to me and my business? Because they're dealing with much bigger stores than what I have. I'm just little. And so how does that apply? But also talking to my customers. So it was very important to me that I be here, that I quit my job, because I could have stayed in my job and tried to make this work. And a lot of people have to when they start a business, is they're working a full-time job and they're doing it on the side. To me, it was important to just dive in, get to know it, but also be here when my customers are here. And so talking to my customers every day, I hear what they're looking for, what they like, what they don't like, what they need to know. So that helps me know, how do I educate them? What products do I bring in? I talk to the team who works here, because they're, customers will tell them things they don't like. They aren't going to tell me necessarily. Some do, but so they're very good. So we share information. I get ideas from them because they've been, this team that's here, they've been here for a couple of years, and I just came in March. So.
And how hard is it to kind of recognize what people do and don't like when it comes to their palate with wine?
Oh, they'll just tell me, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Can I dump this out? Yeah. Yeah. And I can sometimes tell. But what I love is, I love the customer that comes in and says, I only drink sweet wines, and I get them to try a dry wine. Like that's what I love, because they're willing to open themselves up and try something new. And I mean, wine can be really intimidating because so many people don't know much about it. I didn't either when I first started drinking it. So that's why you just have to go in, grab a bottle, open it up, see what you like. Okay, I like the Zinfandel grape. So that tells me, this. And that helps us as when we're working here. If you like this style, we can recommend this wine or this wine or this wine. I want my place to be approachable for the novice that they don't know what they're looking for. And getting them to try something new is exciting. And when they actually like it, that's even better.
Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I kind of wonder, like, how much, because you said there's 5,000 different grapes, how much that relates to like how peppers are made, because they're always coming out with like the next hottest pepper by like integrating like different things into them, and all these crazy things.
Well, the blends. So you have all those grapes, and so depending on the winemaker, they're going to make a wine with just one grape, or they may add different grapes in for body, for a different flavor. Depending on how the harvest is, they decide they're going to use 10% Merlot this time. Last year they used only 5% because the grapes weren't great. This year they're going to use a little bit more because they want to change the flavors. So it's how they introduce the other grapes is how the flavors are. There are some that will add some sugar to their wines. Other winemakers don't do that. They keep it very natural. So with American wines, for a long time, American wine labels do not have to disclose all the additives that they put into a wine, that they may put into a wine. And the shift has been to a more organic, natural wine, mostly for the younger wine drinkers. They want that. And so a lot of winemakers have had to change their winemaking process and go back to natural methods because that's what the market's demanding. They're not really creating new grapes per se. They're creating different blends and different, you could put 10 Zinfandels on a table and they will all taste different because of either where they were grown or where the winemaker was. Another thing that they have to adapt to is climate change. That's a huge concern to the winemaking industry because the climate's getting warmer, which affects grapes. So the warmer the climate is, the sweeter the grape's going to be. And so they have to either harvest sooner if they want to keep it a drier grape, or they, have to change their practice somehow. So we heard a lot of talk about that in meeting with some winemakers about what they're doing. The Europeans are, I think, a little bit further ahead than we are here in America on how they're going to adapt because they don't want to lose the grapes. Yeah. So they've got to figure out what do we do now with this warming earth?
Do you think that's like symbolic as to how much they're kind of preparing more for climate change as to what we are?
The Europeans? Oh, yeah, great question. Yes. If we want to go down that road.
No, that's crazy. Yeah. That's like something I would have never even thought about that. Yeah, climate change affects that. That's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So it's, and you think like the California wildfires. They have to deal with that, and those are becoming much more regular. And that it's always in the wine country. And so it's going to be interesting because 2017 was a big year for wildfires in this year. So when those vintages are released, it's going to be really interesting to see how that may have influenced the taste of the grapes. Yeah. Might taste a little smoky.
Fun. So is there any kind of, I guess, I don't know, a contest, but is there ever like an official grape of the year, like a really good grape that sticks out compared to all the other grapes?
Oh, it depends on the region. So the regions are known for different grapes. The rankings that are released a lot are wineries. Wines, of course, are, oh my gosh, there's Wine Enthusiast, Wine Spectator, there's all kinds of, there's a point system. So some people base their buying habits on this point system, where wines are judged, and anything over 90 points is considered a really good wine by certain people, certain judges. So there's not that I know of, that there's like a grape of the year. But maybe in different regions, they may say, well, the Cab Sauv this year in this region was really good.
Just going back to like the entrepreneurial journey that you've had, what are some things that you've had to overcome, either like physically with your shop or like mentally, or like how you think, like going from, you know, like a steady 9 to 5 and then going into, you know, pretty much managing yourself. And we had talked about this the other day, you know, from the age of 16, 17, you're told, take the ACT, get into a good school, you know, you're going to go to these classes, you're going to get a good grade in those classes, get a job, you know, that's what we were talking about before. And I would like to get your opinion on how you've changed your mindset a little bit or anything like that.
Oh, great question. So I graduated in 87. So yes, I was raised that you had to go to college to get a good job, to make a good living. And so in living in the suburb that I do, the school system here, you know, we have great schools. Education is very important, and my kids went through that. As I cycled through business, education was helpful to get in the door. So it looks fine on a resume. But later, as I became a manager, and I was hiring, I was interviewing, training, to me, experience, work ethic far outweigh an education. And I'm not taking anything away from education, because it's discipline that you learn, and you know, you're exposed to a lot of things. So that's what I think college does, and a higher education does for you, is you're exposed to things and you can figure out, where is it I want to go and what do I want to do with this, and you may apply it later. But you have to have a personality to get along with people, all different kinds of people, and you have to work your butt off and be flexible enough to do the grunt work, because that's going to lead you on further. So, and a degree may or may not be what you need to do that. You know, it's more it's yourself and what you're going to put into it. And so I had very hardworking parents, and so I'm very hardworking myself, and I've instilled that in my kids, I believe. And that's what's helped me now as an entrepreneur, because it's 24/7 here. This place, and Gene told me, so my husband's Gene, he's an entrepreneur himself. And he told me that, he said, you will live and breathe it. I have sleepless nights. And I did, I worked a lot of hours in my corporate job, and sometimes 6-7 days a week, but not continuously. This has been 24/7 every day. I am not sleeping sometimes. I think of an idea in the middle of the night and I put it in my phone because I don't want to forget it. Or when I'm out, we call it research. We travel to other establishments like mine to see, what are they doing? What do customers seem to be responding to there? So I'm constantly thinking about what can I do better here? And what's cool, again, being the entrepreneur, is I can try it tomorrow and do it and see if it's going to work, and then tweak it if I need to. Yeah,
they always say, like, in owning your own business, it's better just get it over with, fail quickly, and then move on to the next thing if you have to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned you go out and you see other places. What is like the one thing you'd like to highlight for everyone listening? What do you do differently here as opposed to other places? Or what is the experience that you can create? Yeah,
I make it a comfortable experience. Like I said, people think when they see wine on the door, if they feel like, I don't know a lot about wine, I don't know if I can go in there, I don't like wine, I don't know if I'm going to... We want you to come in and be comfortable, be relaxed, and have a nice experience. And we have multiple kinds of wines, and we also have other things too that you can enjoy. But it's not necessarily about what you're drinking; it's the experience you're going to have. So the team here that works, they make a nice experience for everybody. We greet customers, we help them, we talk to them. We're one-on-one with them versus them coming in and seeing this huge room of wine and not knowing what they should buy. We will, talk to them and walk with them around the store and pour them a sample. That's the cool thing too, is I have bottles open. And so if they're looking for a Chardonnay and I've got one open, they can have a sip before they buy it. And that's so helpful. Especially if they're buying a gift, they do the same thing. They get to try it before they're giving it to someone. So we know we kind of have the questions that we ask to try to help, because a lot of people come in there like, I don't know what I want, or I don't know what so-and-so likes. So we've got some questions we go through to help narrow it down, to help them through, so it's a comfortable experience and not so intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like, if I go to the grocery store or something, like liquor store, it's a daunting task just you go in there and find, like, I mean, I drink beer all the time, and it's a daunting task, like, man, like, what do I want tonight and, like, tomorrow, right?
Right.
I couldn't even imagine, like, just walking down the street and seeing, like, a winery. I would be so intimidated to even step in here.
Yeah.
But I really do like that. It's, like, an opening atmosphere, and everyone is welcome and stuff like that. And it's, like, an educational process along the way.
Yeah. The neat thing that I have is, because we do tastings and we have a wine menu, and we can sell retail, is so you taste 4 or 5, maybe 6 wines, you can buy that wine and take it home if you like it. Where at some places you can't always do that. You're taking a gamble. If you haven't had it, you may or may not like it. And I've had customers come in who didn't like the wine that they bought. That's like with anything you buy. You don't know if you're going to buy that. You buy that steak and it may not be great. So that is tough. So it is helpful that if I've got something wine, I always offer it to the customer so they can try it for themselves first.
I think the thing that I really like about Suburban Bottle is that, so you have different rooms, and like they all have like a very relaxing vibe, but they all have a very slightly different vibe. So like if you like one room better than other, you can just kind of sit down, relax, do some studying, and I really like that. It's like really cool. It's like a very kind of homey feeling.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Our back room, the event room, that can be reserved for private events. So we have everything from bridal showers, bachelorette parties, birthday parties. We have a lot of charity events, so organizations come in and do fundraising in there. I like to help. We have live music in there. So one of my things as an entrepreneur is helping other entrepreneurs. And we have so many small business owners who are looking for a way to get some exposure. And so I partner a lot with local small businesses, and they come in and they bring their product in or their service or whatever. So we have like an art studio, we have local musicians, we have a singer-songwriter, it's called Up and Amped, that we feature local talent. They come in and play originals, and that gives them exposure. It makes a nice environment for my customers. The other business owners that come in, they get to feature their products, and I get exposure from my shop. So it brings people in, they get to shop with wine in their hand, and they love that. So I figured I've got the space, and the back room is perfect for that kind of atmosphere. So why not partner with other business owners that are trying to get that? So the luncheon we were at, I met a woman who makes her own jewelry, and she a lot of the things come from third world countries, and she doesn't have a brick and mortar store. And so she's going to come in here actually on Sunday and feature her jewelry. It gives her a way to help promote her business, and it helps bring customers into my store. So it's a win-win for both of us.
And that's one of the things that I've kind of taken the entrepreneurial route probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And ever since I've started my own like personal journey, that's one of the things I've kind of noticed and really enjoyed is a lot of entrepreneurs are like very open to helping others out. And it's really cool.
Yeah,
like, people
definitely.
that are like, like really high up there, like you kind of think yourself like, wait, why are you helping me out? Like, what are you going to get out of this? They just want to help you. It's really cool.
Right. The networking in this area, and that's what I've learned a lot from my husband, because he is involved in a lot of these different organizations. And like I said earlier, I don't like to ask for help, and I often don't until it's way too late. But there are so many that are just willing to share knowledge and their experiences. And here, like I was trying to figure out how to get outdoor seating. I had no idea what to do. The website was not helpful to me. Other business owners were more helpful. So they, here's what you need to do. Here's your contact. I'll give you their name. And then it's a wonderful community for that.
Definitely.
I just wanted to go back to the live music. Like you said, you have that pretty frequently, right?
Well, we just started it in September. We had it just to see how it would go off. Yeah. A friend of mine is very involved in the music industry here. Jake Paluski's his name. He's amazing. And he's very well connected. He's a musician himself, and he's connected to a lot of bands and musicians in the area. And he saw the space. He's like, oh my God, we got to do something. So we talked, and Harrison Rally Day, which is a big day in Perrysburg, was the first day we tried it just to see if it would go over. Holy cow. People loved it. And it's a nice vibe with kind of the atmosphere I'm going for. Just, kind of chill, nothing loud or crazy. People could still have conversations. And so it worked out so well. We did another one just in November, right before Thanksgiving. We're going to have one in a couple of weeks here before Christmas, and then we'll see where it goes. I have brought in some other musicians. We had one Wednesday night. Chloe and the Steel Strings, the local group, was here and played. And, it gives them some exposure to my customers. And it gives my customers a different experience too. It gives them some life.
Yeah. Funny you say that. I actually had a class with Chloe.
Oh, really?
3 years back. It was like macroeconomics or something like that. But yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I know them from, we did a song fest in Toledo. So.
Oh, okay.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. It was fun. They came in for our wine club holiday party. And it was fun. And I love to hear, one of the things I've always liked to do is to go hear live music and just sit down with a nice beverage and listen to, and I love originals. I want to hear what the artist, what they talk about the stories and why they wrote this certain song. And that's really interesting to me. So that's what we're going for here.
So we had touched on your growing demographic being younger, starting to come in more, and I definitely think that live music helps that for sure. Do you advertise on social media, or do you have like a strong social media presence? Because I feel like that'd probably be the best way to reach the college age students.
Yeah, it reaches all ages because the age span here really is 21 to 92. I mean, it really is. And so, we definitely use, because it's economical. So for a small business owner with not a huge marketing budget, which is really nothing, word of mouth, social media are the two best ways to get the word out. So we put our events on social media. We do have a newsletter or email distribution list we're using because not everybody's on social media. So we do have that means to communicate.
So you want to plug your social media? What is it? Where can we find you?
Oh, yes. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Suburban Bottle. And then suburbanbottle.com is our website. We have some information out there, not a lot. We're still kind of in the growing phases of what to do with the website because we are a very small team here.
No, it's funny you say that. Before coming over today, last week I looked at your website and I noticed like one of the very first like slogans you had was "We love a good party," and then you'd advertise, what was it, baby showers? And
it was a bridal shower.
Bridal showers, yeah. So I thought that was really cool. Do you have any like memorable parties? I also noticed you had a Halloween party too, right?
Yeah, that was fun. So our whole downtown in Perrysburg transformed into Harry Potter world.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I know about that.
Yeah. So when I first took over, we have an organization that's called Downtown Perrysburg Inc. (DPI), and they plan the events that happen, or most of the events that happen downtown. And they came to me and said, "Hey, in October we do this thing where we transform downtown into Harry Potter world. Do you want to be a part of it?" Well, yes, absolutely. So I'm very much, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, you've got to get involved in the community. You've got to get involved in the community because they will help you and you help them. So my thing was potions, and I have to disclose, I do not know. I know what Harry Potter is. My kids weren't into Harry Potter, so I've seen one movie, didn't read the books. So I had to quickly learn what I was going to do. And since we're a beverage, wine, beer, whiskey location, we decided potions would be what we would feature. And so we had 2 potions, an adult version and a kid version. And we made, I think 300 potions for kids. It was the polyjuice. Yes, polyjuice. We made polyjuice. And then we had Amorticia, it's the love potion. That was it was basically a fall sangria. But we decorated for Harry Potter. It was on right before Halloween. It was torrential downpour. The weather was so bad. But so most of they go all out. These businesses, they would transform the inside of their place. Everybody was doing something, so they were all featuring different things. And we thought with the weather, oh gosh, nobody's going to come. We had over 300 kids come through the door because they just get into Harry Potter. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, the bridal showers are great. The birthday parties are a lot of fun, especially surprise parties. Next Friday, we have our first wedding here. Very small. They wanted a small, private, intimate, very casual place. And they said, it's hard to find that around here. That's not super expensive. They're a young couple and they love the back room. And so they have someone that's going to marry them and they're going to have a small party with their family. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. Our first wedding.
It's really cool, man.
Yeah.
It's like, so Perrysburg, I didn't know. It seems like there's just always something going on in Perrysburg. Like, I kind of want to move here.
Yeah. An interesting thing I've learned, again, by being here and working here every day, I talk to the customers that come through the door, and I'm amazed. I didn't know Perrysburg was a destination, but so many people have come to Perrysburg to spend the day because they will Google best small towns in Ohio, and Perrysburg's like in the top 10. I think we were even ranked number 1 at some point. And so they like, yeah, that looks cool. They like the quiet quaintness of a downtown and local shops. So I think there's a real big movement going back to, or has been, small businesses, small, quiet neighborhoods. And I love New York. I love Chicago. My daughter's in Chicago. But just this kind of setting is really appealing to people. So we have people from Detroit we're in today. There are people from Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland. They just went a day trip and they came to a smaller town. And then they always look for wine. And so my place comes up, which is cool. And then they visit the other shops, and I'll recommend different shops and experiences for them to have. And yeah, they enjoy it. So, but yeah, there's always something going on here.
We always talk about how, we love Toledo as, just a place to grow, like entrepreneurial. And just in itself, like Perrysburg is right next door to Toledo and stuff like that. And I think, like you said, like people can come from Detroit or they can come from one of the bigger cities, like, Cleveland, Columbus, if they want to make a day trip, they really could.
Yeah.
And I think personally, like owning a business in an area like this is, I think it's really beneficial.
Oh yeah, because I'm always asked, I'm like a stopover. So because I'm not a restaurant or anything, people come here before or after dinner or like in the middle of the afternoon. And so they're always asking for ideas. And because I've lived here for 30 years now, I can recommend places in downtown Toledo, Sylvania, even some that are going to Bowling Green. I've had parents from BGSU. They're in town. They want to know where to go. So yeah, I'm always pointing out different things depending on what they're looking for. And we have so much to offer here. So much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So before the podcast started, I don't know if I was talking to you or Gene about how there's a lot of history behind Suburban Bottle. Could you elaborate on that?
Oh, you mean the building?
The building in general.
So the building, we're located on Louisiana Avenue, and the building, this was the first movie theater in Wood County. And it's been a little fascinating to know, well, it was a movie theater and then it was like a beauty salon and a dry cleaner, and, but when one day, so we've spent some time kind of cleaning some things out, and we were in the closet and we found this old post that has this black velvet and red velvet on it that had to have been from the movie theater, because in the back area where the event room is, that was where the movie theater was, the seats. And then the front was the projection and the lobby. And so it's really kind of fascinating. We haven't found interior pictures yet. We've only seen exterior. We would love to really see how this was laid out, because of course over time, it's been chopped up and, made into different things. Before it was a wine shop, it was an interior design shop. And so a lot of the decor you see is what they did. They brought that kind of, it's very varied depending on where they were taking their customers and what they wanted to do. But yeah, and we also found a light that was in the theater too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And then I've met customers. I've had a couple customers come in and said, yep, I used to come here in the 50s and watch our movies. And so it's a little nostalgic.
So with this building being older, I just naturally come to this question with, is this building haunted?
Oh, wow. So Oh, it depends on who you're talking to. Hi, how are you?
Maybe not haunted. But is there any,
Well, okay.
experience?
So here's one experience, and I don't know if it's a ghost or what it is, but so I have been here since March, and there's a door chime that goes off every time somebody comes in the front door, and all of a sudden. And I told Gene, my husband, that I think I've disturbed the ghosts because all of a sudden it started playing the 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh man.
And I'm here by myself during the day, and it just would go off randomly. Like the door wasn't opening. There was nobody else here. And at first I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I thought, who is playing this tune? And then I narrowed it down and I found like this little contraption. It's like this door chime, and I didn't even know it existed because it was behind some accessories that have been on the wall since I took over. I don't know I've tried to reprogram it. I can't. It goes off at random times. I have no idea why it does it. And I think it did it once while we were talking here. So that's the only weird thing. I mean, every once in a while there's things that fall on the floor, but I don't know.
Maybe it's just like a very festive ghost. Really likes Christmas.
Well, I like to think of it as, we're fun. We're, it's cheerful in here. So whoever it is that's here is happy.
Yeah, he or she is just trying to join the party.
They're just
right?
trying to join the party,
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, while we're talking about the layout of this place, it is deceptively big.
Yeah.
It is. This place is massive. Like when you first walk in, like there's 2 tables, I believe, and I was like, oh, this is like a little bit smaller than I expected. And then you hit a little bit of a left down. Like you hit a little bit of a left from the main entrance, and you just see a massive hallway. There's one room that is completely stocked with wines that. This is the most amount of wine I've ever seen. And then, here we have like a beer shelf. Yeah. Yeah, this place is really
It's very
big.
deceptive, yeah. And a lot of people, so as the business owner, what I wanted to do was at least put what we are on the window, our logo.
Yeah.
So the brand, which I'm married to a brand guy. So that was very important that our brand and our logo portrayed who we were because it's so misleading. And a lot of people walk by. The downtown setting is great for a business because there's so much foot traffic, which is why so many events happen here because it brings people in. And so they'll walk by and they won't necessarily open the door unless they see what it is. And so in the summertime when it's nice out, I open my front door, which people just wander in then. It makes a huge difference. But so I put wine, beer, and events on the window so that people know. And so they'll look and they'll be like, well, where's the wine? And then they walk in and then we escort them through. Oh, there's the wine. So, it's so many people think that's it, that little area at the front.
And while we're talking about it, would you like to explain the history of the room that we're currently in? It's gone through some evolutions from what I've been told.
Yeah. When I took over, it was a cigar humidor. So the doors were closed and it was at a temperature and it had the humidifiers in here for the optimal whatever and I know nothing about cigars, for cigars. It was filled top to bottom of cigars. And so like I said, I don't know anything about cigars, and there are 2 local cigar places who do very well. So I decided let's get rid of the cigars. So we sold them, and that was something. I had no idea cigars were such a big thing. So we sold them and we brought in the furniture that was in the front when I took over. It's loungy furniture, a sofa and a couple chairs and table. And then we hung some fun things on the wall, and we're just trying to make it a real eclectic, cool, quiet room. We get people in here that are arguing. We get people in here that are just relaxing with a glass of wine. They put their feet on the coffee table, which is completely acceptable. Some have asked me to put curtains up, which I refuse to do. I said, we're not that kind of place. But yeah, it's kind of secluded and a little more intimate feeling.
I absolutely love the aesthetic of this room. I like the dim lighting. I like the shade of gray. It's a little bit darker. Makes it just feel, I don't know, like homey or like warm.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I'm in an art museum.
Right, exactly.
Well, yeah, that could be what we have on the wall.
So my next question was, do you have an interior designer, or how do you how do you make this happen? Because this place is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you. I mean, a lot of it was here when I took over. So, and I don't know, the former owner, I think she painted some of the walls too. I have not painted anything.
Okay.
Or like the wallpaper that was here, I believe that was the interior designer, the studio that was here before, that was his stuff. The back room I think is so cool because that floor, I don't know if it's the original floor, but it is so old. It's so old we can't really clean it. It's got some not shavings, I guess, of the wood, but I'll bet if that could tell stories, it would be neat. But the exposed brick is nice. I liked that. I brought in the tables and chairs in the front. I had those custom made by a local guy, Graham Miller, who does amazing woodworking. He made the chairs, and then we just kind of arrange it to make it just seem, open and inviting, and it's movable. So the events that we have in the back, we are constantly moving the tables and chairs depending on what they want. We're having some business meetings, a lot of holiday parties this month. So we'll be moving things around based on the number of people. But yeah, the stuff on the walls we bring in based on how we feel, what we like about it. Yeah. I like the eclectic feel of it. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not stuffy at all.
Do you guys frequently go to tours in Italy, wine?
No, not frequently. No,
not frequently. But
I wish
more than
yeah.
I would. Yeah.
And actually, we were just in Bordeaux, France, last fall, before I even knew I was going to be buying this.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It was an incredible experience, and that was what I wanted to get a job and pick their grapes and just live there. It was so incredible to me. I was like a kid, so we were there. We were there at the start of harvest, and in the wine industry, harvest is the most exciting time of the year because that's when the grapes are ready and they get to see what kind of harvest it's going to be. Is it going to be a good year, a not so good year? Because not every year is a great year for grapes. And so we're in France. We're in Bordeaux, France. I don't speak any French. But all the workers on the property, we were lucky enough with good friends of ours. We were with them, and we were staying on a chateau in the middle of Bordeaux, France, and witnessed the start of their harvest. And it was like Christmas morning to me. I was giddy. I opened the windows. I'm watching, I'm taking pictures, I'm listening. And that was just amazing. So I would recommend to anybody. Bordeaux was amazing. We went to Paris after that. I loved Paris, but Bordeaux was by far, because it's so old. I mean, it's just stunning, beautiful. You open windows and all you do is smell grapes, and it's just amazing. So anyway, it was great.
Is that the first wine?
Yes, that was my very first wine trip.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going for.
Yeah, wine-related trip. Yeah, I have not ever done a wine tour, or I've visited wineries before, but nothing to that magnitude or level. Yeah, that was a whole nother level to be able to watch the winemaker and talk to him in his surroundings, while his team is harvesting the grapes for the 2018 vintage, was just incredible. And like I said, I didn't even know I was buying this place then, but I just fell in love with it and just said, and that's what kept eating at me. I want to do something in this industry. I don't know what it is yet, but I want to do something in this industry because it just excites me so much.
So follow up, do you have plans to go to another European winery or wine?
So if and when I get the opportunity to go, Tuscany is next on my list. So I love French wines, I love Italian wines, mostly because those wines are definitely made to go with food, which I love. I love all kinds of food. So in Tuscany, to experience that is just going to be thrilling to me. And I've known many people that have traveled there, and it's definitely where I want to go. So yeah, Tuscany. That's awesome. Tuscany, Italy is next. Yeah.
So then, just to wrap up here, get a little fun questions off topic, and then anything you'd like to ask us, obviously, it's always welcome. But what was the most thrill-seeking thing that you've done in your life?
In my life, that has to be 2019.
It's pretty recent.
Yeah. and I've given birth twice. So, that's up there. My 2 children are incredible. So giving birth is very thrilling. But this year I quit a job. I took the risk, bought a business, got remarried, and turned 50 all within 4 months. So talk about a roller coaster ride. That's gotta be up there. Yeah. I'll still say giving birth to my children is the most thrilling adventure I've ever had. But after that, it's gotta be this year.
Yeah.
It's been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
We always talk about how it's usually a leap. It's always a risk.
It's a risk.
From going from like a secure job or secure like income, right? And then doing your own thing. And like you mentioned earlier, you really don't know when that next paycheck is, or like how big it's going to be, just based on like who comes in and how well your business is doing. Yeah. Stuff like that.
So some advice I give to younger people is, and I'm trying to instill this in my kids, is like, don't wait. Like I waited, partly because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But when you're young, that's the time. Go for it. Take those chances, take those risks. Try everything, experience everything you can. It's not all about the paycheck. And that's what I love about the younger generation is they're not motivated by money. I mean, they want to make a living, but their motivation is experience, rewards, what they can contribute. And so go do it. Now is the time. Do that.
I would say everybody we've talked to, and it's been kind of like an advisor within our network, they always say that like now is the time to do it, because I mean I'm gonna turn 23 here soon. I'm feeling old.
Same.
Yeah.
You just turned 23.
Really? Oh yeah, happy birthday. Yeah, you're over my
Happy
house.
birthday.
Yeah. But they always say like go for it when you're young. You don't have any kids. There's no like not a mortgage to pay or anything like that.
Now is the time.
So
because it's very hard. I mean, and honestly, for me, that was my biggest reservation was I've got a daughter in college, and my son. Can't remember if he was still in college. No, he was done. But I've got mortgage and car payment and all these responsibilities and benefits that I need. And I hesitated for the longest time and stressed about it. So yeah, do it now.
Are your kids following in your footsteps or genes?
I hope they do. I would, if of the 2, I think my son would probably be the one to maybe step out into the entrepreneurial world from a business standpoint. He's got a very great business mind. My daughter is journalism and fashion business. So she's definitely a leader. She's a risk taker. She is driven. She will take the risks. Whether it'll be her own business or not, I don't know. She likes kind of the big. She's big. She likes big things. So
yeah, it sounds like both of your kids have potential then to be a bit of a maverick, go out and do their own thing.
I hope they do. I hope they do. That's what I hope that what I've taught them is, because I played it safe for so long, and they knew I didn't love my job. And they were both very excited when I told them what I was doing, and super supportive, and that's been great. So yeah, I hope that I've taught them, hard work and risk taking is all worth it.
Absolutely. And my major is media communication. So, from my perspective, we're really going through a time where we really need good journalists. And I don't want to go off to a whole other tangent because I really have to use the restroom. But that's a really important thing where it's going through a weird route right now. And, it's an important skill to have and to be able to be a very effective and non-dishonest when it comes to journalism.
Definitely.
It's really important.
Yeah, because that whole industry has changed so much in the last couple of years, really.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Well, since Dan's got to go to the restroom.
Dan's got to go to the bathroom.
I think we've already hit the hour mark. I'll leave us on one last question here, just a fun one. What's your dream car?
1968 red Mustang convertible, white interior. I've wanted that since I was 16 years old, so that's it. After that, it'd be a Lamborghini. But
I have no doubt in my mind you'll get it.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, we're wrapping up here. Any last questions for us?
Well, I mean, other than I wish you both well. And,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting. I love, thank you for asking me to be a part of this. And I guess I'm fascinated to know why so many of you are coming together to build this. It's not just a couple of you.
Yeah.
It's more than you.
I can give a little bit of perspective on that. So Evan is my roommate. He founded our business, Forefront Solutions. I've been roommates with him for 3 years. We're in the same fraternity. I've known him for a long time. And his good friend Matthew is also a computer science engineer. That's where he comes in the picture. So they came together, founded it. I do a lot of business development, getting my MBA. And then our team's just been forever growing. Joey, who came in with us, he's our head of marketing. And then Dan here, he does, the guy's a Swiss Army knife. He does it all, right? Like, does media communication, he does video, he does audio, he does web design. I mean, the guy's an animal, right? So.
Yeah, and so from my perspective, so the reason why I really wanted to join the team, and I didn't even know that I was joining the team, Ev was just like, hey, you want to join the team? I was like, absolutely. So the thing that really attracted me to the group is that everyone in the team is so like independent, self-motivated to go out and, do it. And one of the things that I've really kind of picked up over the years is that there are two types of people. You have your doers and your watchers, and there's only so many doers out there. And when you discover that there's a group of like 7 individuals that they go to the same college as you, they're going to be graduating at the same time as you, so they're all doers, like that's awesome. Because for me personally, it's been so hard to find those types of doers that have the same kind of interest as me. And like when we met up and we started talking, and they wanted me to be a part of the team, and I just saw how motivated they were to do what they were doing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, And so it's honestly kind of like a dream come true for me, and I've really just been so excited to kind of pursue this. And yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, we love having you, man.
Well, you guys are smart to bring. You all have your own expertise, so
right.
I mean that's what you got to do. Yeah.
So that's
very
what
cool.
we're doing.
Oh, good.
All
luck.
right, well, thank you everyone for listening. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Come see me at Suburban Bottle. Visit our Facebook page, our website, but just walk through the door, 218 Louisiana Avenue, downtown Perrysburg.
Sweet, thank you guys.
Thank you.